spent a good 15 minutes wrapping up this sewing machine box so I can unbox it for you guys. But I hope you get the point and that we're doing a giveaway for this heavy-duty Singer sewing machine. So if you're someone who's looking for your first machine or an upgrade, or you just know someone who likes to sew and you want to win it for them, make sure you guys sign up. I'll have all of the information in that description box, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be hosting it off of my Instagram, so don't forget to follow me there. And I want to say a huge thank you to Singer for making this possible. I love being able to give away things to you guys and help you guys craft and all of that, so thank you, Singer. But yeah, for the rest of this video, we're going to talk about how to use a sewing machine. So everything you need to know, from the parts to how to wind the bobbin, how to thread the machine, and then make your first few stitches. So if you're new to sewing, I really hope this can help you out. I know when I first started, I didn't have YouTube videos, so I kind of just winged it as I went, and it took a lot longer. But my machine was super old. I think my grandma got it from the thrift store for like $5. And when you press on the foot pedal too fast, it'll start sparking off the side, which was kind of creepy, but I still got it to work, and I used it for a while until I was able to upgrade. So I hope your first sewing experience isn't that crazy, but it goes a lot more smoothly because of this video. But let me know if you guys have any questions, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, click the subscribe button and that notification bell if you want more videos like this one. But let's get started because I have a feeling it's going to take a while. So before I start talking about all of the parts to this one is a mechanical machine, and that means it's hardware based. So all of these dials you have to turn manually to adjust your settings, but the other machine that you might have at home is a computerized one, and with those there's normally a little screen on it with buttons, and you can change all of your settings through there. So if you're missing some dials and it doesn't look exactly like my machine, that's probably why. But don't worry, because most home sewing machines have the same basic functions, so you can still use this as a guide for whatever machine you have at home. And yeah, that's basically it on that. Now let's get started on how to use it and what the parts actually do. So first off, with this side, there is a plug-in spot for the cord, and with Singer machines it's usually a cord that looks like this, and it splits off into two. One is for the foot pedal, and then one is for the power outlet. So you're just gonna want to stick this into your machine like that, and then right above it is the on and off switch. So now you know how to turn it on, and if you want to move up to here, this is the wheel that will manually turn the needle in and out of the machine. So you always want to turn this towards yourself. So technically I'd be sitting on that side and turning it towards the front of the machine. And if you can see, it's going in and out of the machine, and this will manually make your stitches. If you are afraid to step on the pedal at first, I think this is a good way to see how the needle works. For the front of the machine, there's a bunch of dials. So the first one down here, like the biggest one, is the stitch style selector. There's a straight stitch, a zigzag, a bunch of other kind of decorative stitches that I don't really use ever, and then also a buttonhole maker. There's a little dot on top, so whichever stitch you want to select, you just have to turn it and rotate it to that. And I'll just leave it on a straight stitch for now because I think that's like the most basic stitch that you'll be using. If you go up, that's the length selector. It goes from 1 to 4 and then 0 for the buttonhole, but the higher the number, the longer the stitch length. So it'll be like that. And then the smaller the number, the shorter it will be. I like to leave it around the 2.5 range for medium weight fabric. If it's super thin, you can go lower, and then if it's thicker, kind of like fleece, then you can go at a higher number. But yeah, we'll leave that at a 2.5 for now. Moving up here is the width control. So for a straight stitch, you want to leave that at 0 because it's technically straight. But if you're doing a zigzag or any of the other ones, you can adjust this. So the lower the number, the skinnier the zigzag, and then the bigger the number, the wider the zigzag will be. Does that make sense? I'll have it like drawn out here for you. But yeah, that's the width selector. Next to that is the needle position. This machine actually comes with a zipper foot, and I love that you can adjust the needle to either side of it. That way it makes it so much easier to sew. But if you're just sewing something regular, you can leave that in the middle. After that, you have the tension setting. So for tension setting, I actually don't like playing with it too much. I leave it around the 4 range and just keep it there and never touch it. But it actually goes from 0 all the way to 9 on this machine. And if you ever notice that your thread is getting kind of loose either on the bottom or top, double check your tension, make sure it's in the center. And most of the time people mistaken it for the tension, but usually some of the threading might be wrong or the needle might be at a weird slant. So make sure you have this at the medium range and then check everything else if there's something wrong with your stitches. But yeah, that's basically it for all of the dials. We are going to move down to the reverse button. So when you are sewing, your fabric usually goes forward into the machine. But when you hold this button down, it actually goes back the other way. So when you are starting your stitch or ending the stitch, I would recommend holding it down for like 2 seconds. That way it goes over the original stitch point and it kind of locks that stitch in. So it just makes your sewing a lot more secure and it prevents it from pulling apart later. So that's the little reverse tab. So moving down here, we have our needle and the presser foot. And you can control the presser foot with a little lever on the back side, so you can raise it and drop it down. And underneath the presser foot are feed dogs, and they're basically spikes that come out of the machine and help rotate the fabric forward. And then in front of all of that is my bobbin holder. Mine is a top loading one, but some machines have a front loading one, and I know that industrial ones are actually like side loading ones. And out of all of them, I really prefer the top loading one, just because you can see everything that's going on and it's a lot easier to get to. And there's a little button here that you can just pull and it'll pop up the lid, and then you can take your bobbin out super easily versus like having to take this whole compartment out. There's a rod up here to wind your bobbin, and there's also a spool holder and some tension pieces and hooks for you to thread it, and I'll go over that in just a second. But yeah, that's basically the rundown on all of the parts of the machine. I hope it wasn't too complicated, but now let's get started on the bobbin winding thing. Okay, so now to wind the bobbin, you will need a bobbin, some thread, and then a pair of scissors, and I also have some fabric here to stitch up later. And so you want to take your thread, remove this cap piece and stick the thread onto that, cover it back up with the cap, that way it doesn't go flying everywhere. And then you want to take the end of your thread and follow the directions on top here. So there's a hook at number 1, and then with the dotted lines, that's kind of the instructions for the bobbin. So you're going to wrap around this tension piece clockwise, pull it out. With the end of your thread, you're going to thread it through this bobbin, and mine is kind of fuzzy looking right now, so I'm going to chop that piece off. So there's tiny little holes on it and it's probably hard to see, but you want to go from the middle up, just like that. And then with the bobbin, we are going to lock it into this rod, and you'll hear a little snap. And then to engage the bobbin winding, flip it towards the right, like that. Hold on to the top thread, and then we are going to turn on our machine, and then you can step on the pedal to start the winding. So after it's gone around for a little bit, you can cut off this top thread, and you want to cut as close as you can, and then now you can wind it up all the way if you want. I think I'm just going to do it about halfway. Pretty good. And now to remove it, you are going to flip it back to the left, lift it up, and then cut the extra thread off. Okay, so once your bobbin is done, you can put it into your bobbin holder, and my lid has a little diagram, so I'm just going to follow that. And it looks like it's a P shape, so with the tail on the left side and then the round thing on the other side. And so I'm just going to drop that in there. And I'm going to put my finger on top of it so it doesn't spin everywhere. On my diagram, there is a little hook on the left side. So I'm just going to hold on to the tail of the thread, hook it in towards the left and then have it kind of fall out that way. And that's basically it for putting the bobbin into there. And now we can thread the top of our machine. So we're gonna start all over, pull this piece out, and then follow the diagram for the actual top thread. So again, there's a hook at number 1. There's another hook at number 2, and then it goes down to number 3. There's a little U-turn at number 4, so I'm gonna go back up, and then there looks like another U-turn at number 5. So this is the part where you actually have to play with your wheel. So you want to make sure that the take-up lever is on top when you are threading your entire machine, because there's a little hook back here too. So we're gonna do a U-turn around that, pull it back down. And when you get here, there's actually 2 more hooks left. So there's a bigger one right here, and you're just gonna wrap it towards the right to get it in there. And then there's one right above the needle. And this one's a little bit smaller, so I like holding the thread sideways, pushing it in, and then pulling it down from the right side. Just like that. And then you're just gonna thread the needle from front to back. Once you have it through, you can pull the thread from the back side, and it should lay nice and flat on top of the needle. Okay, so that's one way to thread your needle. If you have a needle threader, I would say please use it. My first sewing machine didn't have one, but my later ones do, and I can't explain how much time it saves me. And it helps your eyes from getting strained because you're not staring at the eye of the needle. Instead, there's actually like a little hook that goes through it, and then you can hook the thread on and it'll pull it out. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Okay, so there's this L-shaped piece on the side, and I'm just going to pull it down, and then the hook's going through the eye of the needle. Then you want to take your thread, loop it onto the left side, and then right in front of that tiny little hook. And then once you pull it back, it's going to have a little loop on the back side of the needle, and then you're just going to pull that thread right through. Okay, so now that you have both threads, we want to pull up the bobbin thread from the bottom of the machine. So you're going to hold onto your top thread, and then with your right hand you are going to turn this wheel towards yourself, and then you'll see that the thread goes underneath and makes a loop to pull up the bobbin thread. And you want to pull the bobbin thread up and out from the bottom of the machine. So now you have both of them up, and you're just going to push it away right through the presser foot so it's out of your way and towards the back of the machine. And so now you can cover up this piece so it's nice and sealed. And you guys are ready to sew. And I have some fabric here, so I'm going to kind of walk you through it. Okay, so take your fabric. Make sure the presser foot is up so you can stick the fabric in between, and then line it up to whatever guideline you want. So depending on your seam allowance, it could be a 1/4 inch, a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, whatever you want. So I'm just gonna line it up to the edge of the presser foot. Okay, so once you have it where you want it to be, you can drop down the lever so it lowers the presser foot, and then you can start sewing. But again, if you are nervous about the foot pedal, start by twisting this hand wheel. So I'm going to rotate it towards myself, and then you can already see that it's making a few stitches. And then don't forget to hold down the reverse button on the first few stitches. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to release it and sew the straight line all the way down. Okay, so I'm really close to the edge right now, and I want to make a 90-degree turn. And so to do that, you want to make sure that the needle is inside the fabric. So turn your wheel so that it's all the way lowered down, and then now you can lift up the presser foot, adjust your fabric. So if you want to do a little bit of a slant or a full slant, you can adjust to that. I'm just going to do it with the 90-degree and then drop down the presser foot again, and then keep sewing. I'm just going to keep doing that all the way around and show you guys what it looks like in the end. So another tip when you are sewing, you don't want to actually look at the needle because it's always moving up and down. What you want to look at is the guide and where your fabric is meeting. So it's always good to pay attention to where your fabric is lining up to, and that way it's always going to be a perfect seam allowance versus like staring at the needle that's always moving. Okay, I'm not going to finish it all the way so you guys can see where the back stitch is. So right now I'm going to do a few back stitches. Okay, so now that I'm done, I want to take the fabric out, but I don't know if you guys can see, the needle is still in the fabric. So to take it out, you actually have to spin this wheel again so that it's lifted. And now that it's kind of free from the needle, you can lift up the lever on the back and then pull out your fabric, cut off the extra thread. Okay, so this is what it looks like, and at the beginning of the stitch and at the end, it's a little bit thicker because we did the back stitches there. And if you want to try and pull apart the fabric, it's going to be a lot harder because it's more secured now. But if we didn't do the back stitches, it would probably start to unravel. And then we also have these 3 90-degree angles. But yeah, that's basically all you guys need to start sewing. So please let me know how it goes. You can always play with the width and length settings and all of these crazy stitches. I think I'm just gonna end it here. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched till this very end, you guys are awesome. And I will see you guys all soon. I am super tired now and I think I'm gonna go to sleep. But bye guys, I love you.